What's up, guys? ReploidBill, Old Bill Logan, and I read a lot of X-Men books, and I'm talking a lot. Pretty much every single thing that comes out. And while I'm not always up to date, I'm always finding backlog and new stuff that I can't wait to get my hands on and check out. So needless to say, I come across a lot of cool stuff. Some stuff cool, some stuff funny, some stuff dumb. Hey, it's X-Men. And while I can never guarantee that I'm current, I can always guarantee that I'm trying my hardest to keep up. Hey guys, welcome to the new quick format. This is going to be a chance for me to drop some X-Men moments and just talk about what's been going on in the X-Men for the week that I've been reading it, whether it be backlog or new stuff or whatever. Just a quick get in here and talk about the situations rather than full book reviews. I don't know if I'm always going to use that big long intro, but we'll see what goes on from this point. So the first thing we're talking about today, because Storm isn't broken enough, Stormbreaker Storm. I have to admit, this is pretty cool. I like the fact that they went out of their way to bring the hammer back to Storm, who's already one of the strongest things literally ever introduced in the history of all X-Men, and then give her something that makes her even more broken. Now, there is a drawback to this because I've heard it said, and I've never got to read this, but I've heard it said that the hammer is actually too much for her. Though she can use it, and though it makes her godlike entity strong, her power actually can feed back and be a problem for her, and she can't control it. And I guess the hammer almost destroyed her years ago. But regardless, this is cool. When the world was ending, and this happened a little bit before that, but when the world was ending and all those little nanobomb things went out and they were going to destroy the planet, she was one of the first people that took to the sky and was like, we have to destroy every single one of these, because if even one gets to the atmosphere, it's the end of all mutant kind. And she was like, I got it. And she took out probably 90% of these bombs by herself because she wasn't broke enough. So Stormbreaker Storm. So I bet you're awful glad we kept Pyro around. Very recently in the books, in the X-Men Gold books in particular, Bobby decided to give the new Pyro a chance when Pyro came to him and said, listen, Mastermind was screwing with me. I was not interested in what was going on. I never meant for what happened to happen. And Kitty Pryde rode Bobby about this, saying, that guy should not be here. We went to prison because of him. Well, lo and behold, it's an awful good thing he was here, because quite literally he is the one that saved the day in the last seconds when Stormbreaker Storm was just not broken enough to take out every single orb. He was the one that literally rode on top of the jet, used his fiery, flamey doodads, and ended those stupid doomsday devices. He's the reason we're still here, so, hey, it's a good thing we kept him around, right? So already the wedding was spoiled for me before I ever even got there, and I just figured that there were no surprises coming my way. But lo and behold, the X-Men did manage to sneak one thing in there that absolutely blew me away. And that is a very small thing that I've been complaining about for the last year and a half, and that is the way that Colossus is drawn. But finally, plates on Colossus! The plates are back! Yes! Old Colossus is back in the comics looking like old Colossus. It's not a character change. There was something done that reset his DNA to the original point back when he had the plates. So instead of smooth metal Colossus, we finally have plate Colossus back in the books, and I couldn't be happier, so excited about plates on Colossus, it's ridiculous. But I'm so happy that they snuck that small little thing in to surprise me and made the book entirely worth it. So in X-Men Gold number 30, let me just go ahead and lay this one down. This is how you do this, Tom King. This is how you do it. You don't need 50 books repeating the same boring, ignorant storyline trope over and over and over and over because you're so brilliant. This is brilliant. This is one time that feeds from a moment in the past, that mirrors a moment in the present, that has amazing significance to what's going on, that makes me care. And it didn't take you 50 books to put us there, only to promise another 50 books for us to suffer through. Is that enough? Did I make myself clear with that one? Moving on. This guy, it turns out, is not Wolverine. Big, shocking, major deal. I said this back when I very first seen his picture. I knew something was off about him. I knew the coat was weird. And then it turns out that not only is he 100% not Wolverine, he's the Wolverine clone that disappeared quite a long time ago, at least as far as my memory goes. And I don't even remember much about him. I think I seen him in like one issue quite a while ago, and he was supposedly went off to live his normal life, and he makes a comment during a fight between him and Daredevil where he calls out a name and says, where did you take her, or something like that. So maybe this guy's storyline is not done, though I really wish it was. And still, at least in my opinion, the Weapon Lost book is still the weakest of these frickin' Hunt for Wolverine books. But hey, we'll keep pushing through it, I guess. Only X-Men can bring us a moment like this and still make it just a normal day. This is young, time-displaced Jean Grey drinking alcohol while receiving the mother treatment from the reincarnated actual original normal age Jean Grey, while also critiquing back that maybe if you want to play the mother unit, you should do so to Rachel, who happens to be standing right there with her young mom and old mom, who are the same mom, and whoa! X-Men. Excuse me, but I would like to take this opportunity to drop the most amazing statement that anyone can make at any time at any wedding ever, and that is, you're kidding. You've got a dragon family? Lockheed came back only for a panel or two, but Lockheed coming back not only played in to one of the coolest lines ever, but it also goes way, 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 way back to an old moment years ago in the X-Men where Kitty Pryde sat around a campfire and told an amalgamation tale of all of her friends and the current situation that was taking place right after the first, that I can remember, Kitty Pryde and Colossus breakup, where it happened right after the Secret Wars, if I'm not mistaken. And during that story, she told about Lockheed populating a dragon planet and basically getting a big dragon family. And this served two purposes. One to be awesome, and one to call back to a tiny moment in X-Men history for those that might remember the obscurity. Ha 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 ha. Phasing joke. I don't suppose we could do this wedding without some sort of Wolverine interaction or appearance, but this causes problems that I'm not willing to deal with right now, because we're doing the Hunt for Wolverine, which is 18 books, and that's problem enough, only to see that, I mean, Wolverine is already alive. We already know that, and people are out looking for him, but here he is, right here on top of this building. The whole world's looking for him. Nobody can find him. He's watching things go down. When they finally reveal what he's been up to, I hope it's worth it, because these little credit scenes here are actually kind of negative to the event that's playing, because they make them very unnecessary. He literally could have shown up to the wedding and nobody would have said a thing, because because X-Men have a habit of coming back to life, and they already know he's alive because the event that's taking place basically tells us we've known he's been alive for a little while. Well, there he is. He could have came to the wedding. What's with the big secret? There better be a reason that he's avoiding the Marvel Universe. So probably one of the most awkward conversations that you can have with your boyfriend and or girlfriend is, hey, apparently we got married right over there. Not us, but our future selves. And not the future selves that will become, but the future selves that we should have been had we not been time displaced and ended up here knowing our future selves. And, X-Men! So here goes. Here's the big talk. Here's the big event. The thing that a lot of people probably were expecting me to talk about. I say a lot of people like a lot of people actually watch my show. Anyways, guys, look. The wedding happened, okay? The wedding happened, but it didn't happen. This was straight up heartbreaking. It really was. And it's heartbreaking for one major reason. And that major reason is that the decision to not put Kitty and Colossus together comes down to one thing. They would be happy together. And I believe that. We like comic books, but let us be honest here and understand what comic books are, because there is a major fundamental flaw in comic books, especially in terms of superheroes. Here's the issue. Superhero stories don't end. And the big problem with that means that we go from one piece of drama to another piece of drama to another piece of drama to another piece of drama. There's no such thing as a bad ending, a sad ending, or a happy ending. There are only dramatic events that cut to the next dramatic event. And by creating happiness in these books, you're moving towards the better life. And the better life is not going to do any favors for your sales. And that's the truth of it. Drama drives comic books. It's the reason why superheroes die and come back. It's the reason why they're tested over and over and over again. It's the reason why there's never actually been a happy ending, as in Batman kills the Joker. Because let us be honest here, there are some bad guys that need killing. I'm sorry if that's too extreme for some people, but this is a true statement. Not all bad guys deserve to go to jail, and some of them that go to jail do truly deserve the death sentence, and the Joker's one of them, but he's never going to be put down. And if he is put down, something's going to bring him back because he's good drama. And when he does come back, he usually wrecks somebody's life somehow or destroys something for Batman. And this is important. And this is the big problem with comic books. It's the reason that Spider-Man can't be married. Peter Parker cannot be married to Mary Jane, at least not for very long. And when they are married, there's got to be all kinds of troubles, and he's got to be forced out of the house, and they got to do a trial separation, and he kind of sees some other people, and she sees some other people, or she falls into smoking, and then there's always some sort of big drama that hurts these people's relationships. And even foundational relationships like the Fantastic Four, like Sue and Reed Richards, they even go through the drama course, either that she doesn't believe that he's listening to her enough, or that he thinks that she's too flirty, or the big one was when the Submariner came in and got between them. And I promise you that the reason that these two were denied their happiness is because this is a couple of people whose relationship would have been near perfect. And that's the reason it can't happen, people. That's exactly, I'm telling you, there's no doubt in my mind, that is the reason that Kitty Pryde and Colossus cannot be married. That is what happened here. Because had they got together, the drama's over. Sure, you still got X-Men drama, but you take these two characters that have done the roundabout for so long and had so many relationships that were like, oh, look, I'm falling in love. Let's go through the paces. Let's do all the stories. Uh-oh, we're breaking up. Here comes the troubled times. I don't think I want this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we'll see other people. End of relationship. Big sad book. Moving on to the next relationship. And that is what these writers want. And I get it. I do. I'm a writer myself. I get it. I understand it. but this kind of broke my heart. And it does in two different ways, because we follow it up with a shotgun wedding for Rogue and Gambit, which is pretty cool and works to these characters. And it's something that especially 90s fans have wanted to see for a very long time. We grew up, especially if you were a fan of the animated series, we grew up in a time where these two, they looked like they were going to be a thing. And we truly believed that it was going to go that way sooner or later. And here we are all these years later that it finally did. But why did it do that? Why? The reason these two were given the chance to marry and the other two weren't was because these two, the very foundation of their character instills that there will be drama inside of their relationship, and I promise you that this will be a hard relationship. It's lovely. It's amazing that it happened. It brought a smile to my face, but I'm not going to sit here and deny the inevitable, the truth that is going to happen. I promise you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, no question whatsoever on my mind at all, I promise you, this becomes a troubled relationship, and it doesn't take that long for it to happen. I promise you, a year from now, we will be talking about the fact that they're having problems. In fact, the very first open 3 books, right on the cover, it basically says, here are some drama tropes. Why is there a Mr. and Mrs. X that happen to be Rogue and Gambit instead of Kitty and Colossus? Because Kitty and Colossus have built a foundation over the years that makes me believe that when they finally find each other and they finally settle in, they aren't going anywhere. They're happy, and that would be that. And who knows? Aside from their association with the X-Men, it could even end up being like some of the other characters. Like Cyclops left the X-Men. Does anybody remember that? Cyclops left the X-Men. He found happiness. He had a kid, and the drama of the situation drew him back in, took all his life away from him, destroyed the foundation of his marriage, because drama has to happen. It has to happen. Sadly, this is the truth to the thing that we like. We love superheroes, but in order for them to function, there has to be a continual line of drama. And the only reason that other characters exist is to act as drama pieces for the other characters. In fact, I had one guy tell me that the family situation can and will work in comic books, and the only thing I have to do is look to Superboy's John. That's not true. I'm going to tell you something right now. John in Superboy, the new Superboy, the little boy that's in Superman that builds the family with Lois, Clark, and John. I'm going to tell you something right now. That kid is the new Kryptonite. That's what he is. That's his purpose. That's the writing trope behind him, is people are tired of the green rock, and people already know that not even Doomsday can fall from the sky now and punch out Superman. He's too broken. He's too broken. He'll win that fight. So you have to find a different way to attack him, and this is what they chose to do. They made him more vulnerable by giving him a child and a family to protect. So far, since John has shown up, John has been killed, erased from existence, used as a weapon. He's been mind controlled and manipulated, and every single time this happens, he's been hunted by like cyborgs and things like that. And every single time something happens to this boy, literally every single time, it is not aimed at that boy as a character to develop his character. It's aimed at that boy because that then aims back at Superman and makes Superman vulnerable. I'm not saying that the family aspect in those books is not good, because I like John, Lois, and Clark Kent, Superman. I think that is a tremendous dynamic, and it's made that book 1,000 times better than it was before. But let us be honest to what he is. He is a new form of kryptonite, a way to attack Superman that doesn't always have to deal with a green rock. And that is what is happening here. Drama got involved. The writing processes of drama got involved with the wedding, and that's the reason these two can't be together. In fact, there's proof of it at the very last scene with these two. You move on to the next book. The very next book, there's a scene which shows us that we can't just continue from this point and be friends. The drama for these two characters is right here. She decided not to be with him. He decided they can't just postpone the wedding and wait for her to be ready. This means that here we go with the split up crap again. They get together, they split up. They get together, they split up. They get together, they split up. And why? Because people want to see these two together. I'm one of them. I like the foundation of their relationship. But I'm not blind to the fact that every time they get together, they go for a little bit and then something dramatic happens. One of them dies or gets separated somehow, or there's some sort of big fight, or he meets somebody or she makes a mistake and they split up so that they can come back together again and we can be like, oh, did you see that they're back together? Because that's how these books are sold. Drama is the reason they can't be together, because the very next book showed the level of drama that you can create now because the wedding didn't happen, with Peter literally being like, I'm going back to Russia. I'm sorry. That's the way it has to be. So if you look at what happened here, I promise you there are going to be dramatic problems in the relationship of Rogue and Gambit, and the reason is because they were allowed to be married. I promise. Mark my words, guys. You could say I'm wrong, and everybody's entitled to their opinion on this, but I promise you, and I'm making a prediction right now, that this is what happened, and the reason the marriage was chosen for Rogue and Gambit was because, one, they knew they could get the 90s kids on board to buy that book and be like, holy crap, did you see what happened? Mr. and Mrs. X's book, that's going to sell. And the second reason it happened is because these two, the very foundation of the way these people have been for the last 3 years, kissing on, like basically cuddling up to anybody they can and making relationships and things like that and flirty, they're a little promiscuous couple, and that is going to be what bites them in the ass. I promise you that as this goes on, they will face a lot of drama, just like when Peter Parker and Mary Jane got together, and then she was mad because of this, and their relationship suffered, and he never had any money, and then there was the trial separation. He had to live by himself. I promise you. And now that we're past this, which was the biggest conversation of this episode, let us move on. So in other news, in X-Men Gold 31, we learned that Mastermind will simply not go away, and he's still messing with Rachel. So, what an ass. Whatever it is that Mastermind happens to be doing does give us a chance to go back into the Days of Future Past era, or rather timeline, or whatever you want to call it, alternate universe, and that's pretty cool. We get to see the X-Men, we get to see some of the future events, we get to see Cyclops being an actual Cyclops, and they are planning an escape, and the escape goes kind of bad, and it costs Storm her life, and it's pretty crazy, and it's really dramatic, and it's awesome, only to figure out that none of it is actually happening. This has all got something to do with Mastermind screwing around. I keep calling him Mastermind. That's not who he is. I believe he's Mesmero. Regardless, he's screwing around with Rachel. Rachel's seeing herself as a hound again, and she's reacting as such. She sees the world that she left behind, and in so doing, she sees the other versions of these characters, and she's doing what she's supposed to do, hunting them. Now, I don't know exactly where this is going to take us, but it has given us a pretty cool little storyline. It's nice to be able to see this other world and the tragicness of it and everything, but at the same time, we're coming right off the heels of a heartbreaking event, and I don't know if we really should have been going into high-octane, crazy hound hunt action, but it is what it is, and exactly like I said, this is drama, this is superheroes, and this is how it works. We jump from drama to drama to drama. This is our next drama. And this one's pretty cool. It's showcasing some pretty good powers, nice artwork. I like the Sentinels coming back. And of course, anytime we can jump into the Days of Future Past, it's usually worth it. The only negative here is that we're not actually there, and we're not actually seeing some future storyline where Kate Pryde is going to come back or something like that and tell us this or that, or let us know this or that. And it even kind of demeans that little scene at the end where you see Kate kind of thinking back and saying, I'm just remembering something. Like everything's going to be okay. The Colossus and Kitty will eventually end up together. Sure, that's kind of what it looks like it's doing. But since we're immediately, or rather right at the end of this book, we're given the idea that this is just an illusion, then that means we're not seeing future events. We're seeing some sort of imaginative future events, which is always the case when you talk about the future anyway. But regardless. So there we are. This is pretty much what I have in mind for the show. This is going to be the keeping up with the X-Men that I can actually keep up with. It's quick. I can hit multiple comics. Sometimes if the only thing I have to say is one thing about one, like literally, sometimes I read like Weapon Lost and there's nothing to say. There's one moment that caught my interest, or maybe the whole book was just garbage and I can literally pass it by this quick in a quick little comment that says, hey, this sucks. Or I can make a joke because something might have been really enjoyable, but really the only thing that happened was Wolverine fought Sabretooth. And by the way, funny moment, hee 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 hee. I can do this show. I think this is what I can keep up with. So this, for a little while, I'm going to test this out, but I'm still going to try to make it a point to do a couple live shows in between and talk about the books and things like that and answer questions and things of that nature. But I think this is going to be the format for a little while so that I can keep this show going. Comments, questions, things of that nature in the section below. And guys, I hope you enjoyed it. You are now all caught up with this week's X-Men. Later on.